This is our degenerative economy. It's the linear take, make, use, lose. Takes again and again from Earth's sources. It throws waste again and again into Earth's sinks. We have to turn this linear arrow into a circular one.
For our audience who might not be so familiar with your framework, could you show us how it looks like? I think you have an image or something with you.
Yeah, I always have a donut on the stick nearby. So here's the donut, and I offer it as a compass for 21st century prosperity. So the idea is, imagine humanity's use of Earth's resources radiating out from the middle of this picture. And that means the hole in the middle is a place where people don't have the essentials of life. They don't have the food, water, healthcare, housing, education, income, political voice, gender equality that every person has a claim to. We must leave no person in the world in the hole of this donut. Get everybody over the social foundation and into the green ring itself. That was even a 20th century ambition to meet the needs of all. But in the 21st century, we know more. We know that if we try to do this in a way that excessively and misuses Earth's resources, we push ourselves beyond this ecological ceiling. We start to break down the life-supporting systems of planet Earth on which all of our lives depend, and we cause climate breakdown, and we acidify the oceans, we create a hole in the ozone layer, catastrophic levels of biodiversity loss. And these are the 9 planetary boundaries that Earth system scientists say are the life-supporting systems that make this planet the one habitable planet of life in the universe that we know of. So we'd be crazy to kick ourselves out. If you put those two together, the goal of getting into the donut is to meet the needs of all people within the means of the living planet. It's that simple. The question is, how do we get there? And I believe we need to create a regenerative and distributive economy to take us in that direction.
And something that caught my attention when I looked at your framework, Kate, was that in order to measure all these kind of indicators, you are measuring them using social and natural metrics. You are not using dollars or pounds to talk about them. And I don't know, surely some politicians and especially economists who are really obsessed with talking about monetary metrics would say that perhaps using one type of metric would be easier. Why are you doing this? Why are you talking in this kind of metrics?
So it's a great question. I'd say that in the 20th century, when GDP was invented by a brilliant American economist called Simon Kuznets, he was asked to put a single dollar figure on the output of the US economy for the first time in the 1930s. And he did. But even he warned at the time that this number could scarcely be taken as a measure of the welfare of a nation. He knew that it left out the unpaid caring work of families. It left out the value of the community. And even though it told you what had been bought and sold, it didn't tell you what had been lost in the process. It priced timber, but not the loss of a forest. So Simon Kuznets himself knew that it shouldn't be used that way. But there's a real power that lies in a single number, which is why GDP became this focus of how much can you make your economy grow. It became the focus of the Cold War between the US and the USSR. Which ideology can turn out more stuff? And so our nations became addicted to pursuing growth, almost like a horse race. And that was a very 20th century pursuit without recognizing these planetary boundaries. When we recognize the economy needs to be within the ecosystems, then the idea of something that grows endlessly doesn't make sense. And so I think we need to start over again. And if Simon Kuznets were alive today, if he had today the data that's becoming available, we can measure the carbon concentrations in the atmosphere. We can measure the acidity of the oceans. We can measure the health and the life expectancy of individuals. We can measure the nutrition, the education rates. We have phenomenal data available to us that his generation never did. I think he would be on the team of saying it's time to move away from this one number. We need a dashboard.
Where is the economy in your framework? What kind of thinking do economists in the 21st century need? Because in the diagram we can see the planetary boundaries, the social foundations, but where are the economics?
Yeah, it's a really good question because an economist might say, well, I can't see the economy here. Where is it? And I very intentionally took away the normal indicators that we start with of the economy because I wanted to say, let's start with the fundamentals. Let's start with the fundamentals of human well-being And these are drawn from the Sustainable Development Goals. So all the governments in the world have already agreed that all the people in the world have a claim to meeting these essential needs. And let's start with the fundamentals of planetary health. I mean, after all, economics means the art of household management. How the heck can you presume to manage the household if you don't even understand it? So let's understand this household, its planetary boundaries. Let's understand its people and their essential needs. Now we've put in place the fundamentals of economics. Now we can invite economic thinking and reasoning into the room and say, what kind of institutions, what balance between market, state, household, and commons, what kind of incentives and regulations will enable us to meet these goals? And the economy is here. I've written it here. It says regenerative and distributive economy. And the reason that's what I wrote is because I believe what we need to focus on is creating dynamics that start bringing us into the donut. Because right now we are way outside it on both sides. Billions of people fall short on their essential needs, and we're overshooting multiple planetary boundaries. And what that tells us is we have an economy that's deeply degenerative. We are running down the life-supporting systems of our planet. And we need to transform that degenerative dynamic into a regenerative dynamic where we work with and within the cycles of the living world. But we also have an economy that's deeply divisive, where the returns of value and opportunity are so often driven into the hands of the 1%. So we have billions of people who can't meet their essential needs and a doubling of number of billionaires in the world in the past decade. So we need to turn this divisive economic dynamics into distributive economic dynamics. So for me, the 21st century economy is absolutely in the donut. The question is, how are we going to make our economy regenerative? And how are we going to make it distributive? And that's the entry point. Now let's talk about economics in those terms. Let's reframe the starting point and let's dive in from there.
So important to talk about framing. And what I'm getting is that you basically are thinking about two main principles for the economy. So it has to be regenerative by design and distributive by design. And I think a lot of the work of what we do at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation overlaps here with the work that you do, because we want to have a regenerative economy. And I wanted to ask you, Kate, as part of this, what role do you think the circular economy plays in this?
I think it's key. So let me grab my favorite piece of hosepipe. This is our degenerative economy. It's the linear take, make, use, lose of industrial systems that we've inherited. And that linear degenerative process is what pushes us over planetary boundaries. It takes again and again from Earth's sources. It throws waste again and again into Earth's sinks. We have to turn this linear arrow into a circular one, right? We have to work with and within the cycles of the living world so that resources are never used up. They're used again and again, far more collectively, more creatively, and more carefully and more slowly. So I think a circular economy is a necessity in the search of becoming regenerative. We can't do it without reusing resources and recognizing that waste from one process is food for the next. How do we make that distributive at the same time? For me, that's the really interesting question. How do we make sure that the circular economy not only takes us towards regenerative design, it takes us towards distributive design? So, for example, I believe we need industries that make products that have the right to repair, that are modular by design, so that instead of individual companies having their own circular supply chain, send everything back to me and it's within my intellectual property rights and these are my materials and nobody else knows how I use them. And it's a kind of corporate loop. That is never going to work because nature doesn't do that. Nature doesn't create a series of 100 little loops. Nature creates an ecosystem, right? Nature puts resources back into the ecosystem, back as basic building blocks, and then starts again. So if we want to mimic nature in the way we create circular economies, we need an ecosystem of plastics use and an ecosystem of metals and an ecosystem of electronics and an ecosystem of ceramics. And that means that the materials need to be labeled and open source in their design. So anyone who ends up with a material in their hand knows what kind of material it is and is able to feed it back into the ecosystem. So I think it has really far-reaching implications for ensuring that we don't go down this corporate siloed circularity, but that we have a ecosystem circularity. And that requires a regulation and a collaboration between industries to make that ecosystem and to make those shared commons-based technologies and shared standards that everybody can connect to. But also, I would say that the circular economy has a huge potential to be an employment creating, a job creating, and a meaningful job creating economy, right? There's creativity and joy and meaning in figuring out how to use Earth's resources again and again, how to repurpose them, what can they become next time. So it enables architects and engineers and designers to be innovative and to come up with new solutions. And those are the folks I meet who work in big companies who can't wait to get going, making these new designs.